Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 51 of My Yarny Corner. My name's Alex and I live in Yorkshire and the UK, and this is a podcast all about knitting and crochet. So today is Wednesday, the 5th of April. I do normally film on a Tuesday, but I've switched my days back to Wednesday filming, which was my original day for filming. And this will go live onto YouTube tomorrow. So when I mention today, I mean yesterday, Wednesday. It all gets very confusing. So it has been a month since I've filmed a podcast. Settling everybody, this could be a long one. I've got a lot to talk about today. I have got a giveaway to announce. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So first of all, admin type stuff, where you can find me. I'll leave a link in, I'll leave in the description box where you can find me. I'm on Ravelry, Instagram, email, Facebook, YouTube. It'll be all linked below. I'll link Danny's Instagram below as well if you would like to follow Danny. And what else was I supposed to say? Oh, it's really hard when you've had a month off, isn't it? Where to find me, what day it is. I think that might be everything for that bit. Yeah, as usual, the dog is snoring. I've just heard her snoring. As soon as I press record, the dog decides she's going to snore her way through the podcast. I'm going to have to stop her in a minute if she gets loud. Oh, dear me. So I've got some patterns to share today, a knitting fail to share. I have some finished objects. I do have some sock finished objects, but because I've completed them during the March vlogs, I'm going to have to show pictures. They are all in the wash. Thank you for those of you that did join us for the March vlogs. We had an absolute blast. It was so nice to spend March with you all. It was just lovely. We did have a few difficult days during March vlogs with illnesses and one thing and another. We had to put a pause on it for a few days, but we managed to pull it back. Everything worked out fine in the end. Also, thank you to all of you that came to the shop on Friday. We had our shop, no, it wasn't even Friday, it was Saturday. We had our shop update on the 1st of April, so thank you to those of you that came to that. All of the orders were shipped out on Monday, and they should be arriving today, which will be yesterday for you. So yeah, they should be arriving this week. So that was really, really fun. Thank you so much for that. While we're on that, I've had a few more questions on the Advent. So I'm just going to take this time here to talk quickly about the Advent again. If you want to skip ahead a couple of minutes, if you don't want to hear about the Advent again, you can totally do that. But I have had some more questions. The Advent is run over the course of 8 months. It consists of 24 20-gram mini skeins, which are 4-ply, and we sell those in days of 3 at a time per month. So March was days 1 to 3, April was days 3 to 6, and so on up until October. And then in November there is a chance to purchase the main skein. If you would like to take part in the Advent and you haven't done month 1, it's okay, you can still do it. Just contact me and we can sort it out. We haven't started dyeing yet, so it's absolutely fine. Also, they will all be sent out mid-November to arrive in time for Advent. We do have a few international. They will be sent out much, much sooner than that, so you will get yours in time for Advent as well. I won't send the international out mid-November. They'll be going beginning of October probably. But I will talk to you, all you international customers, about that. So yeah, that was just the Advent. And one more thing I forgot to mention. Did you notice anything different about me? I had my hair cut. I am so pleased with it. So it was during March vlogs, which I think during this point, if I mention it again, I'm probably going to call it April vlogs because I keep doing that and I don't know why. But if I call it April vlogs, I mean March vlogs. So it was during March vlogs and I was having, oh, one sec, the dog is barking. So I was having a particularly bad hair day, and on a whim, Danny said, do you want me to cut your hair and just get it all one length? and it was a total whim, and I did, and I couldn't be more pleased with it. It looks so much better. It feels so much better. I am over the moon with it. I really am. So yeah, I've had my hair cut as well. So I think that is all of the beginnings bit. So I think first of all, we are going to do the giveaway. Let's do it first. Let's start the podcast with a bang and have a giveaway. So I announced this on episode 50, and all you had to do was tell me what your favourite yarn was. So I'm going to use YouTube comment picker, which I have my iPad here. So I'm going to do that now. I'll pause the video while I get all the video imported into the comment picker. Right, we are ready. So this is the skein of yarn. This is 100 grams of 4-ply superwash merino, 75% nylon, and no, 75% merino, 25% nylon in the colourway Seahorse. It's absolutely beautiful. So you had to tell me what your favourite yarn was. I have loaded the video into here, and we are going to pick a winner. Hey, it's Linda Simpson. Can you see that? I have to hold it like that away from the light. Linda Simpson. And you said, hi Alexis, love fingering weight yarn, which is my favourite. So happy I found another UK podcaster. Congratulations on reaching the milestone of 50. I enjoy podcasting too. Going to check out the website and looking forward to purchasing the Advent. So Linda has a YouTube channel. She is a fabulous podcaster. She actually recently interviewed Martin from Knit 365, which was a brilliant interview. I will link Linda's channel in the description box below. So Linda, if you can contact me, I know you know how to contact me, and you have won this gorgeous yarn. So giveaway all done. I've been looking forward to doing this. I really have been looking forward to doing this. So, pop the iPad down now. We don't need that for the rest of the video. Shall we get into some knitting? Right, what shall we start with? Shall we start with what I'm wearing? I am beyond pleased with this. Let me just move the chair back a little bit. All the way back, Alex. This is the Halu top by Caitlin Hunter. And it has this, you can see it if I do that, it has this gorgeous lace and bobbles on it. It's amazing. I did start this during April vlogs, and it is just lovely. I adore, come back in a bit, I adore the neckline. It's like it's a rib neckline, but on the sides here, the rib goes the other way, can you see? It's just beautiful. So I actually dyed the yarn for this myself. This is our Autumn Rose colourway. I bought myself a sweater, quantity of DK. I bought 2. You'll see in a minute. And I dyed this myself, and I absolutely love it. This was one of those patterns. It has been on my Ravelry list for quite some time. This one and the Easy V by Caitlin Hunter, which is a similar sort of neckline, but it's got a bit of colour work in it. And they've both been on my list for quite some time. I was speaking to my friend a few weeks ago, and she said, Alex, just cast it on. Just do it. I was really nervous. So it did go into our Test Your Limits mal. And yeah, I am so pleased I did it. It was not a difficult pattern at all. I did do the swatch, and I ended up doing size 4, I believe. Excuse me, which the pattern calls for between 1 and 10 inches of positive ease. Obviously I didn't want 10, but 4 inches of positive ease for a jumper for me is just about right. I quite like 4 inches. So I thought I'll just go for 4 inches. I was really worried about this neckline. I'd been through the Ravelry projects, and some of the necklines were really pulled in like this, and some of them were really wide like this. I wanted it wide, so I was really worried about how that was going to come on. I was showing it a lot during April vlogs, and as I was trying it on as I went, the neckline sort of sat about here. I did know it was going to stretch because I'd done my swatch and I knew there was quite a bit of stretch with this yarn. So I wasn't too concerned, but oh my word, it did stretch quite a lot. So the sleeves, when I knitted them, I knit them to just to my wrist to give for that stretch. So now the sit, which is perfect. I did make a few modifications. This design that's on the yoke here should have been on the wrist as well. And I would like to say I just didn't want that feature, but it wasn't. It was just laziness. I was really worried about yarn. I seemed to use an awful lot of yarn on the yoke and I was really panicking. I had 5 skeins, so 500 grams, and I was really, really panicking about yarn. And I didn't think I'd have enough. Obviously, this yoke section had used much more yarn because there was a lot of purling and bobbles. And I didn't want to be risking running out of yarn. So I missed it off here. It wasn't because I didn't want to run out of yarn. I was just being lazy and I didn't want to do it again. But I like it without it. I think had it been there, it would have annoyed me a little bit. So that was that my only modification? I think it was. I love, if you can see, probably on my wrists a bit better, it's got like, after you do the ribbing, you do a couple of rounds of plain knit and then cast off, so you get this little rolled effect. It's also on the neckline. I absolutely love it. And other than that, I stuck to the pattern. I really did, and I absolutely adore. I've worn this so many times already. It's very, very comfortable. This, I was worried it was going to slide off my shoulders. It's just not big enough. It's just not big enough to slide down unless I pull it. Sometimes if I'm like washing up or something, one might slide down a little bit, but other than that, that's it. It doesn't really slide off, which is fine. And yeah, I am super happy with it. I actually had, how much yarn? 40 grams of yarn left. So, or was it 60? It was either 40 or 60 I had left. So had I done this bit, I think I would have been cutting it fine because it would have used a lot more yarn. I normally use just over 4 skeins of yarn on a jumper and I used nearly 5. So I was very lucky. I managed to get my jumper done in the 5 skeins, but I do think it was this yoke section. So be aware if you make it, just make sure you've got enough yarn, because I was really panicking. I was starting to think I'm gonna have to do the cuffs in a different colour and I didn't want to, and it wouldn't have had the effect that I wanted it to have. But I'm just beyond pleased with it. I really, really am. Which is a good thing because I had a huge knitting fail. It is a finished object. I haven't frogged it yet. I was saving it for the podcast. So we will move from the fabulous jumper into the fail. So I was talking on the last podcast about making a second lento. I made a lento a few months ago and I made it with a held double with a drops nord and an undyed yarn, and I love it. You've seen it before. And it's one of my favourite sweaters. I wear it all the time. It's fabulous. I wanted another one, so I thought I'll do one in a cheaper version with some acrylic. Now, the lento is knit at a really loose gauge. So this is the bit that I hadn't considered. When I made my first one, because I'd used the drops nord, it's got like a bit of fluff to it, so you can't see that loose gauge quite so much. When I've made it in the acrylic, I use Stylecraft Special, which I kind of think is a tad on the thin side for a DK anyway. This is it. And it looks fine here, but the problem is, if I can try and separate the front and the back, you're not going to be able to see it with the light. It is completely see-through. And although it still looks fine here, when I'm wearing it, it just doesn't, it just looks, it's not a look that I like. And as much as I love that pattern, I really do, it does need to be a bit of fluff to it, so it kind of hides. You see, that's how it looks when it's on, and it just looks a little bit weird. I really don't like it. Like I say with my first one, because I held Drops Nord and it's got that fluff to it, it kind of hides that. It's a lovely, lovely pattern. It's so easy to do and it knits up super, super quick. I knit that on 6.5. This one was knit on smaller needles, but still, it's just, it doesn't have that same feeling as my other one. And maybe, being totally honest, had I knit this Lento first, I think I would have been quite pleased with it. But because I've knit the other one first, I can see the flaws in this one. I used 3 colours. I used All Stylecraft Special, and I love the effect with the 3 colours. I just don't like how it's turned out. So this one is going to be getting frogged. But I did finish it, so it is a finished object, so I think I can show it. It's such a shame, and I was so disappointed. I really was so disappointed. But when I've got it on, it doesn't look right. It's fine from a distance, but up close, it just doesn't look right. And you really can't see what I'm talking about when I hold it up like this. But let me try again. Should just put it on, but I'm not going to. Can you see? It just doesn't. So yeah, I did finish it, but that one is getting frogged. Never mind, these things happen. Not all of our knits work out well. Sometimes we have a knitting fail. So that is that. And other than that, I have just made socks. So for this bit, I'm going to put some pictures up. The first socks that I made were actually a pair for Danny. They are part of the Stephen West ebook, which was bought for me for my birthday this year, and this is the woven checks socks. I'd cast them on for Danny. Had a little bit of a fail with them. I got past the heel and they didn't fit. I had gone up a needle size, I had gone up in stitches, but they didn't fit. So they ended up for me. They fit me. They were a little bit on the tight side, but I can wear them. So they ended up for me. So Danny missed out on his first pair of socks. I'm doing socks for Danny every month throughout this year. So he's got some socks. I think he's up to 4 or 5 pairs now. So I'm making a pair a month for Danny. And if I get any extra time during that time, I will make a pair for me as well. But I do not need socks. I'm just being greedy. Danny does need socks. So he was really disappointed because he loved the pattern. I love Stephen West. I absolutely adore any Stephen West patterns. But for the sake of the podcast, I have to be honest. I haven't tried the cable trellis socks, which were part of the ebook. I have done the painting bricks socks. I did try the triangle socks and I had a huge problem with them. I talked about them on the last episode. And then I've tried the woven checks socks. Now, they weren't my favourite pattern. I did not enjoy making them. And he did ask for a pair after I'd finished mine. He says, can you make me a pair of those? I really, really like them. And I said, no. I said, I cannot make those again. I'd done the first sock and I ended up, like I say, finishing it for me because they didn't fit Danny. And I very, very nearly didn't do the second sock. I did because I thought I'm not wasting this yarn. It was a yarn that had been sent to me by Denise at Day Designs and I did not want to waste it. So I made the second sock and I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't my favourite. It didn't, I can't think why, it just didn't flow. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a difficult pattern. It was a very, very easy pattern. I just didn't enjoy it. Maybe it's just one of those things. Nothing to do with Stephen West. You all know how much I adore him. I just didn't like that pattern, so I won't repeat that one. I'm waiting for the next sock pattern for Stephen West to come out. It's due out any time now. Are you wanting to go past, sweetheart? Just go past. It's due out anytime now, and if it's a pattern, if it's another colourwork pattern, because I've had so many fails with the colourwork, I'm going to do him a pair of the painting bricks. He has got a pair of painting brick socks and he adores them. I've got a pair of painting brick socks and I adore them. They are fab. So yeah, if it's another colourwork pattern, that's what I'll be doing. But I did make Danny a second pair of socks, which were in fact the painting brick socks. I'll put a picture up here. Finlay's just squeezing past. I'll pop a picture up here and he adores them. So I've had a few questions on this pattern. Somebody asked if the texture is annoying. I don't think it is, and neither does Danny. Obviously, it's not on the bottom of the foot. I wear them in shoes and everything, and I don't find it annoying at all. The only modifications I've made to these socks is I'm putting the shadow wrap heel in, which is what, when I first started making the Stephen West socks, I did do the heel flap and gusset, which is really nice, but it's not my favourite heel. So I do switch out the heel and put the shadow wrap heel in. But yeah, they're just fabulous. It's such a lovely project. They knit up super quick because you just get into the next brick and get into the next brick. They knit up super quickly. The pattern is designed to use up some mini skeins, so you change the colour of the bricks all the way through. I don't know if I'd enjoy it if I was doing that. I have just used 2 yarns and the bricks have all been the same yarn all the way through, so I'm just carrying the yarn. I'm not cutting it after every brick, which I find much easier. Because I've put the shadow wrap heel in, I don't switch. In that pattern, Stephen has you switching the placement of the beginning of round, and it ends up on the sole of the foot. Once I've put the shadow wrap in, I don't do that either. I keep the beginning of round where I would normally have it. So there are my only 2 modifications. But yeah, it is a brilliant pattern. By far my favourite sock pattern. I've done it now. I don't need the pattern. I can just get on with it and knit it. I don't actually need the pattern for it anymore, and it's just lovely. But yeah, so that's them socks. He did get another pair of socks during March as well. When I finished the painting brick socks, he said, oh, I want my next socks. So I'm going to put a picture up here. I'm going to talk about the yarn after I've talked about this sock, because that is something in itself to talk about. So he did get a vanilla pair of socks in the Cadbury's Cream Egg colourway by Jeanette at Crafty Clegs. He nattered and nattered and nattered, so I finished his socks one day and cast on this second pair of socks that afternoon, which actually worked out well because I was a pair of socks behind in Danny's year of sock. So I'm all caught up now. He's got January, February and March. He's got 3 pairs of socks so far. But yeah, so these ones that I've done here are just vanilla. I cast on 68 stitches on, was it 2.5, 2.75? I can't actually remember. It's on my Ravelry. And just did him a vanilla pair of socks. So he's all caught up. I actually did 3 pairs of socks in March. I'm quite shocked at that. Actually, really shocked at that, because that was a lot of sock knitting, to be fair. So that is all my finished objects. Can I just have a drink? I am so thirsty. Now, I'm going to go on to whips. I have some incoming to talk about, which ties in with Danny's socks that I've just been talking about. But I'm going to talk about that after whips. So, and I've got some patterns to show you as well. So we're not over yet. So, whips. What have I cast on? Well, do you remember in the good old days when I said I was going to be a monogamous knitter? And I wasn't going to be casting on all of these projects and it was going to be all lovely and easy. That changed in March. That completely changed in March. I was just, you know, Pac-Man the video game where they go around just eating everything. I was like that with casting on. Oh, I'll cast that on and I'll cast that on and I'll cast that on. And there was no stopping me. There was just no stopping me, and it hasn't finished yet. So I should have been finishing the Mysterium Tea. I'm going to start with that one. So that is living in my dolphin bag, which I made for myself. I've discovered something about myself. Since I've started making the DK weight garments, I have discovered that I really do not like garments knit in fingering weight. This one has been such a chore. So this is the Mysterium tee. The yarn is amazing. It's from my friend Sue in Canada. She sent me it over for my birthday and I love it. And the yarn is the only reason I am finishing this project, because I adore this yarn. So it's a little bit difficult because I don't quite know what to do. This has a project page on Ravelry, which I've already started, and now it looks nothing like it should do. So when I actually finish this and I go to put it on my project page, what do I do? Because I feel really guilty for the designer, because the main aspect of this t-shirt I have changed. It should have a whole lace section here, and it doesn't have any rib. So when I come to put this on Ravelry, if I leave it under the Halu, not the Halu top, the Mysterium tee, the designer's going to think, well, it's not even my t-shirt, why has she put that on? So I think I'm going to have to change the project notes on it. So this is the Mysterium tee, everybody. It's supposed to have, I have the pattern here. It's a fabulous pattern. I've done it before. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry as well. It has this lace section on the bottom of the t-shirt and here. Now, I've made this before. Those of you that have been here a while, you know the drama that I had with my first Mysterium tee. I put it out to block, the cat got on it and just clawed it. So I did fix it, but I've never really been able to wear it because I don't know if it would survive a wash. This is the first one. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what it looks like. And this design is also here. Now, as I was knitting it, I kept looking at this, and you can see it's rolled a fair bit, and on the bottom as well. And I thought I could just turn it into a basic tee, and then I wouldn't have that problem. So I ummed and ahed a little bit, and then thought, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to turn it into a basic tee. So that's what I've done. I've put ribbon on the bottom instead. And I'm going to do the same with the sleeves. I'm going to put ribbon here. So it's going to be just like a baggy basic tee. It's got like a rolled neckline as well. It's lovely. It was just, I don't think I like fingering weight garments anymore, which is quite worrying because I want to cast on another rocket tee and I don't think I'm going to be able to because I have struggled so badly with this one. I thought because I was changing yarn, I would keep the interest in it, but I got so bored. I actually needed the ribbon. I'm going to be totally honest. This ribbon needed to be double the amount for the length that I wanted, and I just physically couldn't do any more. I didn't want to. And I thought, if I don't end this ribbon here, I'm not going to finish this. So I was sat on Zoom last night and I was telling the ladies about it and I said, I've just had enough. So I ended the ribbon early, which now means this t-shirt is quite short, but I have a plan. It's okay. I don't think it's going to block too much. Certainly not to the length that I need it. If I can stand up, you can see it's quite short, but I have a plan. I have a couple of dresses that I wear quite a lot in the summer, and the t-shirt style dresses, which are quite fitted, and they're just like a little strappy vest. This would look lovely over the top of them. I've got a grey one, which would look lovely with this over the top. So even though it's quite short, with the dress and the style of the dress that I've got, I think this would look perfect. And my lesson learned, don't cast on a fingering weight garment, Alex, because you're not going to finish it. I vaguely remember when I was doing the rocket tee last year that I was having some problems finishing that. And I should have thought on really. But yeah. So it's coming. It's just coming slowly. It shouldn't take long to finish because the sleeves are only small. And hopefully it'll be a finished object next week and next fortnight. And I can show you it all in its glory. But at the moment, I am struggling so badly with that one. But never mind, that's okay. So that is whip number 1. Whip number 2 is... I've only got one more after this, don't worry. Whip number 2 is a pair of socks. Now, Danny bought me this sock pattern a couple of months ago. It's by Sock Witchery and it is the Celeste socks. I did cast these on originally last week in a different yarn, but that's another tale which I will tell you about in a minute. So I ended up changing the yarns. I frogged them back and changed the yarn. The reason I changed the yarn was 2 reasons. I want the yarn for another project, but this sock, I don't know if it's going to show up very well. Yes, it is. It has the most beautiful design. The other yarn was highly variegated and you just couldn't see the design, and I just love it. It reminds me of old school socks. I absolutely love it. I really, really do. So I'm pleased that I changed the yarn. I made the right decision. I ummed and ahed, but I'm so pleased that I did. It's a lovely pattern. It's really easy. It's an 8-row repeat. Not very memorisable. I haven't memorised it yet, but it's not difficult. And once I get past the leg, you're only doing the pattern on the top, so it's a little bit easier to remember what you're doing. But isn't it gorgeous? Look at that design. I'm so pleased I changed the yarn. It was absolutely the right thing to do. So I've got more socks on the go. I think I've just pulled that with my needle as well. So, one more whip. Is it one more? Yes. Which I've left under the table right over there. Darling, would you pass from that white bag under there? So this one is living in my Cabin Boy Knits bag. This was my Mother's Day cast on, the yarn I got for Mother's Day. And before I show you the project, I am gonna, if I get the pattern the right way, I am making the Slipstravaganza by Stephen West. I've tried to make this pattern before and I chose completely the wrong yarn. So I ended up frogging it. I wasn't happy with it. So I decided to cast on again. I knew I wanted black as the main colour. And I wanted it bright. Are you ready? You might need sunglasses for this. This is it. Oh my word, every time I look at it, I love it. Obviously it's all bunched up. I can just sort of see you through the hole. I absolutely love it. I am so pleased with the colours. So I've just got into section 3. So it's taken a while. There's around 480 stitches or something, give or take a few stitches on the needles. And it's definitely taken a while for each row, but I absolutely love it. I can't wait till it's finished. So I'm using, the black is a Cascade Heritage, and I think it's in the colourway Night. I'm also using an opal yarn, which is, it is that bright. It's a real hot pink colour. It's beautiful. And I have this gorgeous one that I got from Yarndale. My friend bought me this. It was in a mystery packet at Yarndale, and I got this one, which is beautiful. And then I have one that I dyed up myself, which I can't seem to find. Oh, it's because I've got it in this bag. I got this from Davina, a Little Workroom Crafts. She makes these little bags. I'll get into that in a minute. I'll show you the yarn first. And this yellow one, which I dyed myself, which is like a mellow yellow. It's beautiful. There's one in the shop, actually. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I don't pull from the centre of a yarn cake, but these come in so handy when you're doing a project like this, because I'm only using one colour at a time, but this one's still attached. As if I keep it in a bag, it doesn't tangle. They are absolutely brilliant. So even if you're not a centre pull, they still come in handy. So yeah, I'm just taking my time with it. I'm not rushing it. Like I say, the rows are so long that I can't rush it. But I absolutely love it. I love this section. This section should have been striped. That's my modification I've made so far. It uses these two colours, but they should have been striped in each section, and I didn't like that so much, so I did them solid, which I think looks fabulous. But yeah. So I think that is everything for my whips. Now I have got some new cast-ons to come, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I did have some incoming goodies. I had two. So the first one is this. Those of you that watch Mandy at the Mouses Makes podcast, I will take it off. Mandy's husband Dave makes some gorgeous, gorgeous leather products. This is one of them. This is my favourite one. And she had a shop update, and she put some of Dave's leather products into the shop update, and she had this one. I have really little wrists, and she goes, oh, these ones might be better off as a shawl cuff because they are quite small. That's what the design does, either bracelets or shawl cuffs, you see. I think this is an 8-inch one. So she said they might be a bit small for a bracelet. She only had one in this colour, and I absolutely fell in love with it. She was having the update at 7 o'clock, and I thought, I'm just going to get it. And I'm saying to Danny, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. It got to 7 o'clock, and I went onto Mandy's shop, and it had gone. I was so disappointed. I really was. And I thought, I was there at 7 o'clock. How could it have gone? Anyway, it turns out it had gone because Danny had bought it and he didn't tell me, so it came through as a surprise. I've worn it every day since I've had it. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it fits me perfectly. So I got that, and then Jeanette from Crafty Clegs Creations, who also has a YouTube channel, which I will link in the description box as well. So Jeanette was having a shop update, and she was showing some Cadbury's cream egg yarn. The colourway is called How Do You Eat Yours? And I saw it on Instagram. It's a self-striping yarn. You've seen it in Danny's socks already, and I just fell in love with it. She was doing it as an Easter treat box, but this I just wanted it. There was no way I was not having it. It was an Easter treat box, and I just thought, I'm having it. It came with a project bag and a little stitch marker, and yeah, I can't show you the stitch marker, which I will explain shortly. The stitch marker was beautiful. It's a little cream egg, and it is just so gorgeous. I'll try and put a picture on the screen with the stitch marker on it. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, the reason I can't show you the stitch marker is my friend also wanted this Easter treat box, and she couldn't get it, and I felt so bad for her, and she just adored the stitch marker. She said, I really wanted that stitch marker as well. It was just so lovely, and I'd managed to get one, and I was so lucky to get one that I said to her, I will send you the stitch marker. I've got the bag, you can have the stitch marker, and I got the yarn, obviously. So this is the bag. It's a sock size project bag, and it's lovely. And I've sent my friend the stitch marker because I know how much she really wanted it. And I have a lot of stitch markers, and it's so pretty, but I just wanted to share the love a little bit. And the yarn, you see, it's all caked up because I'm casting on another pair of socks. This is the yarn. I've got 50 grams of this left. Danny's big old feet used 50 grams. So I've got 50 grams left, which is fine. He's giving me a right look now, which is fine. I thought I'd make us matching socks. So I've got 50 grams left. So I am going to pair it with this like I did for Danny's. But I'm going to put, I like my socks much longer than Danny does. So I'm going to put some ribbon on in the yellow, and then try and use all of the rest of the yarn, which I will. As long as I put the ribbon on with the yellow, I'll have enough to make the socks long like I like. And I'm going to make some more. So I'm super excited to cast those on. I'm going to cast them on today because I want them for knit group tomorrow. they're going to be an easy project to knit on. So I want to get them cast on today, I've just dropped my bag, get the ribbing done, and then I can just be knitting on the sock at knit group tomorrow. So that's the first new cast on to come, and my incoming. The second new cast on to come is on here. I got, no it's not, it's there. Hang on a minute. During the vlogs, I got a Ko-fi donation from a lovely viewer of the podcast. I had been talking about the penguono, and she said, use this towards the penguono and it'd be really nice if we could knit it together. I just thought that was the best idea ever. I do not need any encouragement to knit along with somebody. So I bought the pattern, which is here, and we are starting it together on Friday. So I am beyond excited to start this. I have done a swatch already, and I'm going to be using 5mm needles. The thing with this pattern, which I don't think either of us realised straight away, is the size of the garment that you're making is actually based from your gauge. So initially when I first looked at the pattern, I thought it was a really chunky yarn, sort of maybe 3 yarn weights held together and maybe a 6.5 needle, but it's not the case. So if you want to make the small, you use fingering weight yarn. The medium is DK, the large is DK/worsted, XL worsted and Aran, XXL chunky, and XXXL chunky again. So your size is completely based off gauge. So I've got an itchy eye now. I was quite shocked at that. So when I realised that, I was like, oh my word, I better make sure I've got the right gauge. So I'm going for the size medium. It's designed to have a lot of positive ease, like 10 inches, because it's supposed to be a really, really oversized garment. So my options were 48 inches or 54. I'm actually between 39 and 40 inch chest. So I've gone for the medium, which is 48. So it's DK weight, which is 2 yarns held double, and I'm doing it on a 5mm needle. So I'll be starting that on Friday, which I'm super excited about. There is another cast on to come. Do you see what I mean? My friend Sue had also bought me a pattern, and this pattern had been in my Ravelry for a few days. The reason this had been in my Ravelry was I was watching Tracy from Knitting on the Float. I will link Tracy's podcast in the description box below. I've watched Tracy for quite a long time. She's absolutely fabulous. When she actually does a lot of test knits. So when we were doing the knit vent last year, Tracy had test knitted all of the knit vents. So the day that the pattern was released, she showed the project, and it was so much fun. We got the pattern and then she showed the project that she'd made. It was lovely to see it like that. She has a fabulous, fabulous podcast. I think it used to be called The Comfy Red Couch. It's now called Knitting on the Float, because she has a float house, which is just amazing. She's always showing footage of like I don't know what you call them, but like barges that go past the float house. And in winter she was showing all the trials and tribulations that come with it. Oh, it's just fabulous. Go and watch Tracy. She's absolutely brilliant. But Tracy was showing a pattern that she'd been making, which I just loved. I really, really loved it. The problem being, it was a discontinued pattern. And it was a jumper with these big mesh sleeves. And I just thought, oh, I really need that pattern. So I thought, well, I'll go through Ravelry. There must be something similar on Ravelry that I can knit. So I'm going to have to, it's not got a proper picture, I don't think, without, oh, here we go, it has. So I went onto Ravelry and I came across the Rockpool sweater by Lily Kate France. And it's not the same pattern that Tracy made, but it's got the mesh sleeves that I wanted, and that's what I wanted. So can you see that? Oh, there you go. You can see there. I really like it. It is a paid for pattern. It was £7.50, but totally worth it. So my friend said to me, oh, I really like that pattern that you've got. I might get it myself. Do you want to knit it together? So I was like, well, yes, of course I want to knit it together. So we are starting this on Sunday. So because this is called the Rockpool sweater, I thought it'd be really nice to have some yarn with a similar sort of theme. I had 5 skeins left of DK weight yarn that I could dye up. So I was going for a Rockpool kind of colourway. And this is what I came up with. Are you ready? What do you think? I really like it. It's just like really moody blues and greens. Really, really like it. So there are 5 skeins. The other one's fallen there. So we are starting this on Sunday. I need to get my swatch done so I know exactly. I'm not going to swatch in this yarn because the other yarn that I've made for this one is exactly the same yarn, so I'm just going to use the leftovers from this to swatch. But yeah, so we're starting that on Sunday. So I've got another new cast on to come. I know, there's no hope for me. Never mind. I'm enjoying myself. So that's that. And I do have a couple of patterns to show you as well. So this one, the front cover did not print out. So I'll have to hold it like this. This one is, I'll show you the picture first without showing the pattern off. These are mitts. Look at those. Aren't they gorgeous? So these are the KI mitts by Beatrice Mace or Macy Designs. I will link all the patterns that I've talked about. I will link in the description box. If I've forgotten, just leave me a comment, and if you can't find the pattern, I'll put the link in. So I've got that pattern, which is going to be another new cast on. Why is the camera gone really dark? Why has that happened? That's better. Now, I also got another Ko-fi donation during the vlogs. So I bought another pattern that I have been wanting for quite some time. It's not to cast on yet. It will be cast on this year. It's the Painting Honeycombs shawl by Stephen West. And I've seen it knit so many times. Absolutely love it. And this is it. When you buy this pattern, it comes with this version, which is the big honeycombs. And it comes with this version, which is the small honeycombs. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I think it's probably going to be the big honeycombs. I think. So you get both versions of it. The camera's gone dark again. Let me just... There we go. You get both versions of it when you buy the pattern. So I am super, super excited to make that as well. So, wow, that was a lot to talk about. Wasn't it just? That is everything, I think. Life updates, really. Well, if you haven't seen the vlogs, I know some of you don't watch the vlogs. We had a really busy, I was going to say April. It wasn't April, it was March. We had a really busy March. It started off terribly. I started day 1 of March vlogs with the most horrible, horrible cold. It was horrendous. I felt so rubbish. It wasn't COVID. It was just a very nasty cold. And then Danny got it. And Danny got really, really poorly. Really, really poorly. It was horrendous. It started off with the cold. I'd started on the Wednesday. Danny'd started on the Thursday. We'd been bowling a couple of days before, and I think we caught something there. Blame the bowling alley. He'd started on the Thursday, and he just continued to get worse. But on the Sunday, he'd been in bed by this point for 2 days. On the Sunday, he was getting this like burning throat. He said it felt like his throat was on fire and he couldn't swallow. So we spoke to the doctor. They said, oh, it's tonsillitis. It'll go on its own. It didn't. It just continued to get worse. We went back to the doctors and they said, it's definitely tonsillitis. It will go. but they did give him some antibiotics. So he'd started the antibiotics on the Tuesday, and it continued to get worse. He was so ill. He couldn't swallow. His throat was beyond painful. Went back to the doctors, who then changed the diagnosis to strep, which caused me no end of worry. I'm thinking, oh my word, we've got strep in the house. But it still continued to get worse. They said he was on the right antibiotics for strep. Continued to get worse. By the Friday, he couldn't even stand up, which I think that's the day that I had to cancel March vlogs because I was just so busy looking after Danny. So yeah, by the Friday, we were actually backwards and forwards to the hospital with him. It was just awful, just awful. And they'd done all these tests and one thing and another, and much to Danny's annoyance, they had to get right inside his throat to find out what was going on. And it turned out to be pharyngitis, a really, really severe case of pharyngitis. So your pharynx is here, apparently. It's not laryngitis, not tonsillitis, it was pharyngitis. So it was an infection in his pharynx, which is sort of here. And they were concerned about abscesses and one thing and another, which was why they put the cameras in and did what they had to do. It turns out it was just a really severe infection, but the doctor had said it takes 10 days for the infection to start subsiding. He'd started the antibiotics on the Tuesday before, and he said you won't see any improvement till minimum Tuesday after. And it worked out exactly how the doctor had said. By the time he got to sort of day 8, he was starting to feel better and the antibiotics were kicking in. But oh my word, it was just horrendous. I've never seen anybody as ill as what he was. It was awful. So that was that. So I had to cancel the March vlogs for a few days just while I got Danny better and back on his feet, because neither of us were sleeping. He couldn't sleep on an evening. He was in too much pain, so I was awake all night with Danny, and then during the day I was taking naps just to sort of function. So we cancelled the March vlogs, I think, till the Monday. And yeah, so it was a bit of a funny month. It all came right in the end. It just seemed to be one of those months where we seem to have a lot going on in such a short space of time, and I kind of felt like this is a real lot to be coping with. There's just too much here to be dealing with. And it wasn't anything bad. There was just a lot of things going on in such a small space of time. So to be perfectly honest with you, it's been quite a hectic month. It really has. We haven't done anything significant. We haven't been anywhere or done anything significant. We were busy getting ready for the shop update and then just getting Danny better and then getting me better first, then Danny. So yeah, it's been a kind of chaotic month, but I really, really did enjoy doing the vlogs. It was so much fun. And to be perfectly honest, all the people that commented just kept me going, really, because I was having such a rubbish time. And people were just so lovely and chatting that it just took my mind off everything else that was going on. So it was the best month for me to podcast. Otherwise, I would have been so stressed out with everything that was going on. I had all of you guys to talk to, which was just lovely, and you all just kept me going. So that was just absolutely brilliant. We're in April now, and we've passed the baton on to the other vloggers that are doing April vlogs. There are a number of them going round. So I am got my feet up now, and I'm enjoying all the other vlogs that are going on. Yeah, so that is everything, I think. It seems to have been a really long podcast. Can you tell I don't quite want you to go yet? I'm just waffling because I'm enjoying chatting with you all, and I don't quite want you to go yet. But yeah, I've really missed the podcast. I really have. It's really difficult because I never know what's the right thing to do. When we have a month where we vlog, which does happen, you know, we definitely do Vlogmas and we definitely do Vlogtober, and we always put an extra vlog in month of vlogs somewhere. It's difficult to know what to do because I know not everybody likes the vlogs. And if I'm vlogging, it's really hard to podcast as well. I've talked about it before because my phone doesn't have a lot of memory and I use my phone. But on the same side of it, I think if I put a podcast in, you're just seeing the same things that I'm already talking about. And then I feel guilty because I think, well, not everybody watches the vlogs. So the other people that aren't watching the vlogs would like to see a podcast. It's just difficult. I never know what's the right thing to do, but I've certainly missed the podcast. We don't have any plans to vlog anytime soon. I'm not going to mention when we vlog. I've said this to the patrons the other day. Next time I vlog, I'm not mentioning it because the drama fairy that followed us round, she's not coming for the next lot of vlogs. So I'm not going to mention it next time. I'm just going to do it. But if we do any more vlogs, it won't be till sort of August time anyway. But yeah. So I should let you all go. I've just missed you. I've just missed you all so much. I love the podcast and I've just missed doing it. But I'm going to let you all go. Have a lovely day, everybody. Let me know in the comments what you're working on. If you've got any pattern inspiration, let me know. I will be putting a pattern video together either the end of this week or early next week. I'm going to be doing that once a month, showing the patterns that I've found out and about. Not necessarily all the patterns I've bought, just patterns that I've found around. I'm going to do that once a month. So that video will be coming, like I say, it'll probably be next week, because I won't be podcasting next week, so it'll probably be next week. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you're working on. Let me know if you've got any inspiration that you want to spread. And yeah, so thank you for joining me, everybody. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Stay safe. That's Danny's line. Why did I just say that? That's not even my line. That's Danny's line, and he's sat over there giving me such a look.
Stay safe, everybody. Take it easy.
So I'll see you all in 2 weeks, everybody. Bye-bye.